Welcome to the Activated Storytellers 57th podcast, August 16th, 2007.
This week's story is The Foolish Friend from India.
Hi, I'm Dennis.
And I'm Kimberly.
And I'm Zephyr.
And together we are
the Activated Storytellers.
This week we are coming to you from Cape Cod, Massachusetts.
Home of Provincetown, which is one of our more favorite colorful towns in America.
Yes, we're doing the Cod Pod this week.
Last week we visited Mystic Seaport, and we told you a story from Connecticut. And there was a little trivia question last week.
Yes, the question was, on a whaling ship, what did they mean when they referred to blankets, horses, and books? What they were talking about was blubber.
Blubber.
Yes, the stuff they cut out of whales. I know it's yucky and disgusting, but they cut it into different size pieces, and the big ones were called blankets, and then they cut those into horses, and then the little ones were called books because they chopped them into little slits that made it open up like a book.
Blubber.
Blubber.
This week we got a chance to visit Salem, Massachusetts, another one of our favorite stomping grounds.
Yeah, it seems like this area of Massachusetts has a lot of really interesting little towns, but Salem is definitely one of our favorites. In fact, we all found ourselves working there a couple Halloweens ago.
Well, that's all your fault.
Well, yes, it is largely my fault, because as our regular listeners know, I'm a huge haunted house nut, and I went to find work at one of the haunted houses in Salem. Salem, by the way, gets very busy for Halloween. It's one of the most crowded places I've ever seen, because everybody goes there for Halloween.
And not only did he end up getting himself a job, but the people who were hiring saw me and Dennis and said, hey, we could put you to work too.
So that was the first time we'd worked for someone besides doing these shows in years.
Yeah, I think it had been a good long time before I had ever clocked in before.
Yeah, Mom was selling tickets, I was working in the haunted house as usual, and Dad was security.
Yeah, he got to wear a yellow jacket.
And I escorted tours. They have some very interesting walking tours at night, candlelit ghost tours. We always like to take those. In fact, we had taken one or two in Salem before we worked there and before I actually escorted one of them. So it was interesting to be able to see the same tour over and over.
And how about a little background and history on what Salem, Massachusetts is? What are they famous for?
Well, Salem, Massachusetts is famous for the witch trials, even though the witch trials didn't actually happen in Salem. They happened in a place called Salem Village, which is a few miles up the road. It's now a town called Danvers. But Salem is the town that has really capitalized on it. And Salem is also noted for a lot of other things. It was, before the witch trials occurred, it was a major port, and it was the home of Nathaniel Hawthorne, the famous author who wrote House of the Seven Gables, and that house is there. You can actually tour it. There's a lot of history in Salem, but the one thing that overshadows it all is the witch trials.
And can you give us some more background on the witch trials?
Well, what the witch trials were, there was this whole hysteria whenever anything would go even the slightest bit wrong. You know, if it rained when they expected it to be sunny, they would flip out and blame witches, and they would even hang these people for being witches. Of course, the people that they were killing weren't actually witches, they were Puritans, just like the people that were killing them. But they started this whole hysteria, and they had trials for people being witches. In fact, one of the trials of being a witch was, I forget exactly what it was, but it was something like to tie you to a log, put you in water, and if you floated, then you were a witch, and if you drowned, oops.
I guess you weren't a witch, but dead anyway, huh?
You were an innocent dead person. 19 people were killed and executed in Salem for supposedly being witches. None of them were burned at the stake. That's a misconception. They were hanged, and a couple of them were actually pressed to death. They were put underneath a load of rocks, and more rocks were added until they were crushed to death. One person died in jail awaiting trial. So 20 people in all died because of this witch hysteria. I think actually they also executed one dog for witchcraft.
Bad puppy.
Now, what's interesting is that Salem is actually home today of one of the largest populations of actual witches anywhere.
They are the people who are practicing Wicca.
Right, they practice Wicca, which is essentially what people call witchcraft, and there are a lot of misconceptions about this, needless to say.
And down through the ages there, the people who have been accused of witchcraft, who've been called witches, accused of devil worship and so on, largely they've been people who were involved in herbal medicine, And in fact, a lot of the famous ingredients you hear about for going into a witch's potion, like Eye of Newt and so on, are actually just colorful names for herbs. And so people who practice herbology back in those days were frowned upon because a lot of people didn't understand it, and therefore they got accused of witchcraft.
We could kind of go on and on and on about this. We have spent a lot of time in Salem. Love the town. I think we'll come back in a future podcast and cover some more about Salem.
Yeah, definitely. Especially, we should talk some more in our future podcasts about some of the misconceptions surrounding Wicca, because there are a lot of them.
And one of our most popular pages on our website is about our tours through Salem. If you look through our travel journal on the website. Right now we are on Cape Cod. We're just about to take off on a bike ride.
This is a ride that we've taken once before, 2-3 years ago, and it's really nice bike trail they have on Cape Cod. You can go you go along the ocean or close to the ocean. You can take a little detour and end up at the beach, and goes through a lot of little colorful towns.
There are a lot of bikers out here. It's a very popular trail. It is the Cape Cod Rail Trail. And actually, we discovered it before we had bicycles. A good friend of ours came out to bicycle with us, a friend of hers along with her.
How do we bicycle without bicycles? Well, you can rent bikes here, of course.
We do have a story for you this week. It is The Foolish Friend from India.
Okay, I'm here. What's going on?
Take a look over here at this. We had a king who lost his head.
Quite literally, I see.
Yeah. Looks like someone wanted to take off his crown, but they didn't stop there.
Any other details? Any witnesses? Looks like he was asleep in the orchard.
Yeah, well, here's something interesting. Look at this. Welts on his arm. You know what that means?
He had welts on his arm?
Yes, maybe he had acne. I don't know. Welts of some kind here. Let's talk to the wife. Maybe she's a witness.
Wife, where's she?
Oh, here she is.
I didn't do it.
Excuse me, miss. Gil Grissom, I'm with the crime lab. I'd like to ask you a few questions.
I didn't do it. It wasn't me. No, I didn't do it.
We're not saying you did it. We're just wondering if maybe you saw or heard anything in the moments leading up to your husband's death that might tip us to the killer.
No, I was asleep, and I just woke up, and I didn't do it.
So you were asleep, and you woke up, and he was dead.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, ma'am, try and calm down. The king made me lead CSI. I'm just trying to do my job.
I just woke up, and my husband was dead, and what does that make me?
The first suspect.
Yes, it's folktale, CSI, the Bombay edition.
Let's see. So we've got the welts on the arm, and looks like cause of death was a sharp force trauma to the occipital lobe. Anything else?
Well, let's see. Look at this. Here's a hair.
All right, get a hair. Bag it. I'm going to look around here and see if I can find any traces of anything else the killer might have left.
Look, footprints.
You're right. There seems to be a couple footprints stuck in the mud. Here, I'm going to take impressions and see if I can, Whoa!
Oh, what happened there?
I slipped on a banana peel.
This is no time for a comedy routine.
No, somebody left a banana peel at the crime scene.
Well, that can't possibly have anything to do with the crime.
Just never mind. Help me take impressions of these footprints.
Those are very curious-looking footprints. They almost look like handprints. Look, there's an opposable thumb.
You know, the wife had bare feet.
That's true. Maybe we should take a cast of this footprint, take it down to the lab.
And then maybe we should match it against her feet. Only, I doubt it was her because there's a set of footprints leading out, but none coming back.
I guess so.
Later, back at the lab.
Well, you're going to like this.
I don't like it already. What is it?
I analyzed that hair we found. Turns out it's not human. It's primate.
Humans are primates.
I'm going to try that again, and I'll hopefully sound cooler this time. It's not human. It belongs to a monkey.
A monkey?
Looks like somebody was up to some monkey business in the orchard.
Yeah, I would say so. And they're trying to make apes out of us.
Well, did you find anything on the footprints?
Yes, look at this. Oh, what do you know? They are simian footprints.
Are you sure they're not primate footprints?
I think we need to compare our terminology here. These footprints came from a monkey.
That works.
Now, if we can just figure out what that banana peel was doing there.
Monkeys do like bananas. Maybe we better call the wife back in. I wonder if she might know something about this.
Yeah, ma'am, just the facts. Did you know anything about a monkey?
Yes, my husband, he had a monkey. Darwin went with him everywhere. Oh, he loved that monkey. Oh, he trusted him, and he even got him a sword. Oh, he was so cute. Oh, I haven't seen him lately.
Rewind a little here. You say your husband gave the monkey a, I thought you said sword there for a minute.
Well, yes, so he had a sword and a little sailor suit and a hat and, oh, I wonder where he is.
Why didn't you tell us this before?
Why, you didn't ask me.
Make a note of that. Let's remember to ask questions in the future.
Right. Where's the notepad?
I don't know. Anyway, let's go find that monkey.
We could probably set up a roadblock to catch him. If we analyze the direction the footprints were facing, that'll probably tell us where he's going.
I think we better set up a tree block, too.
Good idea, just in case.
Yeah, I'll put just in case right on it.
We have a guy working here named Just in Case?
Yeah, a new guy. Just came in last week.
So now we've got a guy working here named Just in Case. In addition to that guy last week, Just Insane?
Yeah, I wonder if they're related.
Later, at the roadblock.
All right, Darwin, we want to ask you something. Did the king give you a sword?
Yes.
And did you have any kind of grudge against the king?
No, I love my master.
Look at this. I found this over here in the bushes or the side of the road. It's a bloody sword.
And the paw prints on it match yours. Not only that, but there are tail prints on it. Any idea who left those?
I suppose it was me.
I suppose so. Now, Darwin, this is just a stab in the dark, so to speak, but did you by any chance like bananas?
Yeah, I like bananas. Yeah, like bananas.
I'm going to take that as a yes. You know, for a monkey, he sounds suspiciously like a parrot.
Who you calling parrot?
All right, we got the goods on you, Darwin. Why don't you tell us what happened?
Why, I didn't do anything. It just, my master wanted me to protect him, and there was a bee, a bee, and I wanted to kill it.
A bee? That might explain the welts we found on the king's arm at the crime scene.
And the king had a headache, and you wanted to get rid of the headache, so you cut off his head. Is that it?
Oh, I was just after the bee, actually, and, well, my sword slipped.
Aha, you tried to swat the bee with a sword?
Well, what else was I going to use?
Oh, that explains a lot.
He was sleeping on the newspaper.
Well, I think we can wrap this one up. You know what we've learned from this? Something.
I actually don't really feel like I've learned anything. I felt like I was just at work all day.
You know what we've learned from this? Don't put a sword in the hands of a monkey if you just have a bee to kill.
Oh, I'm sure that lesson will come in handy many, many times in the future.
In other words, use the appropriate means to take care of the appropriate problem. I think that's something we can write down if we ever find our notebook.
Maybe that could be our next mystery. What happened to our notebook?
I don't know, but I think I'll just take some notes on this banana peel in the meantime.
It's better to have a clever enemy than a foolish friend.
I'm not going to write that down.
Stay tuned next week for CSI Folktale Edition.
All right, what do we got? Where's the body?
Just a bunch of eggshells. Shall we try to put them back together?
No, the king's men said they already did that in the report.
Maybe we should have horses try, too.
Yeah, that's going to do a lot. All right, let's see. Judging from the angle of the impact, it looks like he was sitting on top of this wall when he fell.
Or maybe he was pushed.
And in future episodes of CSI Folktale Edition.
All right, the woodcutter said there were 2 victims, not 1. We found Grandma's clothes in the bed, so what happened to Little Red?
That's a very interesting question.
Look at this. I think I found a hair on Grandma's clothes, and it doesn't look like it belonged to Grandma.
She must have had a pet.
Maybe. Looks canine. That might explain the scratches by the door.
And don't miss...
Little Mary had a lamb. We found Mary. Where's the lamb?
Yes, and I wonder why Mary is wearing a wool coat in the summer. So tune in. We may or may not have those episodes in the future.
Probably not.
This has been The Foolish Friend from India, a folktale that we CSI'd.
That's me. I take full responsibility for that.
Yes, it is all Zephyr's fault.
CSI is a TV show, in case you're not familiar with it. I wouldn't have been familiar with it if I hadn't had a son. But anyway.
Dennis had no idea what he was doing. Zephyr is a big CSI buff in the family.
Yes, it's become a bit of an obsession of mine, along with the many, many others that I have.
So we kind of thought it'd be interesting to CSI a folktale for you. A little interesting twist on it anyway. Well, we are going to make it a rather short episode this week because we have got to get off to California for shows, and we are wrapping up our summer programs. Pretty soon here we will have very, very few public shows to choose from to come see us perform live. We have a couple coming up in Sacramento, California at the libraries this week, and then our next public show will be in October 6th at this point in Manalapan, New Jersey at the library. Well, that doesn't mean that we're not going to be performing. We're going to be doing a ton of school programs and homeschool group programs as well, but nothing open to the public until October 6th at this point.
If you have questions or comments or clues to solve crimes, give us a call at 206-350-5016, and links and show notes can be found at libsyn.com.
Activated.libsyn.com.
And before we go, I have a very important announcement to make. I've been promising it for weeks, but it's finally here. Tales from Under the Cubbyhole is out. You can buy it now online.
crevicetales.com. The third book of the trilogy is available.
It took forever, but it's finally up.
And if you'd like to just read a couple of chapters to see if it is something you enjoy reading, those chapters are available online as well, so you can read a couple of chapters.
And we're off to Bike on Cape Cod.
Bye-bye.
The Activated Storytellers perform at schools and libraries nationwide. On stage, we use American Sign Language, physical comedy, imaginative props, and a giant, oversized book to bring the stories to life. For booking information, check our website at www.activated-storytellers.com, where you can also find out when the Activated Storytellers will be performing near you. Read a story or order one of our audio CDs. Until next time.